too.
Hello, welcome to the August 8th meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingsport. That's all the announcements. I will let John introduce our guest speaker.
It's my pleasure to introduce today our speaker, Will Healy. In December of last year, Will became the 21st head coach at ETSU. With his coaching experience and success, it was easy to see why Athletic Director Sander was able to make such a timely decision. My guess is he's probably been following you for quite a while, but last 2 years, he's been assistant head coach at Georgia State and also assistant head coach at the University of Central Florida. Prior to that, he was the head coach at Austin Peay University from 2016 to 2019, I believe. And in his second year, he established an 8-4 record with the Governors, 7-1 in the OVC conference, which was record-setting, and they were the OVC champs. And as a result of that, he was Coach of the Year in the OVC and also FCS Coach of the Year, which is pretty impressive. And what is even more impressive was the previous 4 years, they'd only won one game at Austin Peay. That's a pretty dramatic turnaround at all. From there, he went on to coach at UNC Charlotte. The first year at UNC Charlotte, they basically went, they had their first winning season at UNC Charlotte, and I guess it's the first bowl game probably too. They went to the Bahamas Bowl. That sounds interesting. And it also had a great, the second year, I should say, he beat Duke. It was the first Power 5 team that UNC Charlotte ever beat. That's quite an accomplishment to do that. But Coach Healy graduated from Richmond in 2008. His senior year, he was the quarterback for the national championship FCS team. It's quite an accomplishment there, too. So he's had a great career. He's a native of Chattanooga. Started actually coaching, I guess, at the University of Chattanooga as an assistant coach. And he's now married to Emily Royals, who had 2 children, Wynn and also Eli. I don't know which one is it Wynn?
That's Wynn.
Okay, Wynn's with me today. So it's my pleasure to introduce Coach Healy. We're glad to have you here. Go Bucks!
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, I'm just going to yell. Okay, that's what I'm used to. Oh, they can't. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, you can't hear me in the back. All right, looks like an outstanding group of people. And then I saw Graham Clark was here and was like, what in the world is going on? I have been recruiting Dobbins Bennett School since 2009. I have left more messages or called just to hear Graham Clark's answering machine and hear him sing. But really and truly, fun to see him. I didn't know he was going to be here. I should have known he was going to be here, but incredible mentor to me. And through 7 years of being an assistant at Chattanooga, at Austin Peay, at Charlotte, he and I have always stayed in touch. I've always asked his advice. I've always appreciated the way you ran a program. And so fun to be able to see you here and appreciate what you've done for me. I'm sorry I look bad. We just finished practice this morning, and literally I drove probably 15 miles with my shirt off to air out, and so I didn't figure I'd want to see that. And so my wife brought me a collared shirt, and I got my assistant head coach, Wynn, right here. He's 6 years old. He was at practice today, and he was going to give you an update. So if y'all can give Wynn a round of applause, that'd be great. They got a little bit of the background and the history, but I took, first off, to say I was the quarterback on the national championship team is more like I was a quarterback on the national championship team. I've been fortunate to be, and I think about this, I went to the University of Richmond. I'm there my second year at Richmond, and the president is deciding to make it a non-scholarship program. And so they're going to cut all scholarships. They were still going to let the people who were there on scholarship finish, but they were going to cut scholarship football. And we all put on a coat and tie, and we shook every board member's hand as they walked in to go vote, walking into the Alumni Center, and we talked them into keeping scholarship football. 2 years later, we got beat by Appalachian State in the semifinal game the year they beat Michigan in 2007. In 2008, we beat them in the quarterfinals and stopped them from winning their 4th in a row. up there. Won the national championship in my hometown of Chattanooga, and then got immediately into coaching. I was going to go play professional football in Austria. I know that's a lot of childhood dreams. I'm sure it's y'all's too. Childhood dreams. And then I saw a lot of people in blue jeans at practice, and I was like, I don't know if this is a great idea. So went back to Chattanooga and coached there for 7 years. Learned a lot from Russ Huseman. Really, when I got to Chattanooga, they were 1-11 the year before I got there. And Russ Huseman, who was a former player there, took the job. And it was basically Russ gets it right, or they're going to do what East Tennessee State had done and cut football. And first year we went 6-5, had a great turnaround, ended up winning 3 straight Southern Conference championships. And I had an opportunity to take the most coveted job in college football, the 256th ranked job out of 256 Division I jobs at Austin Peay State University. Let's go P, right? I told the guys, okay, it's funny. I told the guys in the first team meeting, I said, here's what I know about Austin Peay, okay? You are 0-11. You have a chant that says, let's go P, and you wear Russell. Like, none of that's cool to me right now, okay? The only thing I can change right now is I want to get us out of Russell. And you would have thought I was Newt Rockney and Vince Lombardi. The whole place went nuts, and we, absolutely went 0-11 the next year. But anyway, so I remember calling Jack Turner, and Jack is a massive influence in Nashville and Clarksville. And I was just talking to him about how bad I wanted the Austin Peay job. And I was standing at Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Chattanooga, and he starts dying laughing on the phone. And he's like, I have never had anybody call me and tell me they want the Austin Peay job. He said, Will, do you even know if there's anybody else up for the job? And I was like, no, but I like my chances because, I may have a shot at this one. So, incredible community, incredible place. I went 0-11 my first year. I remember our first game we played Neil Brown and Troy. I'd fought my rear end off the entire year to get 3 buses. Okay, you're traveling 140 people, and we had people, it felt like 3 to a row on the bus. So I wanted a third bus where somebody could have like their own seat. And finally got that done. Finally got us out of Russell. We're on the road. I'm in the front seat. I'm the head coach. I'm 30 years old. I'm thinking, yeah, you're pretty big time, right? We get about 10 minutes off campus and a tire blows on the bus. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So we all get off on the side of the interstate. We climb onto the second bus. We drive all the way down to Troy. Next day, bus finally gets there. So how about this? Russell, okay, was not going to allow us to buy. We were changing over to Under Armour, and the only reason I picked Under Armour is because we had old Under Armour jerseys, okay? And so I'm at Academy Sports and Dick's Sporting Goods the night before the first game, and I'm texting our offensive coordinator, our defensive coordinator. I'm like, what size pants do y'all wear? What size shoe do you wear? I've got shopping carts. I'm taking them all around. And our defense coordinator, Marcus West, who's now the D-line coach of the Bills, he's like, I'm a 44-36. And I was like, well, they got a 44-30. You're just going to have to suck it up tomorrow. I don't know. Wear some high socks. Prattville Academy is out of 44-36s. I don't know what to tell you. So the next day we're on the way to the game. Tire on the bus blows again, right? I get to the game about an hour and a half before the game. I'm sitting in there, and mind you, this is a team at that point in time that I think it was somewhere around, they'd lost 45 of 46 games, okay? And the referees come in the locker room, and they're like, Coach, can I get your captains? I'm like, shoot, forgot to name captains, all right? You run out there and call heads, and let's go, right? And so we got on the field, and I told them my pregame speech to them, my first game as a head coach at 30 years old, was don't be shocked when you have success. Expect success, right? And so we go out there, and first call, I remember it like it was yesterday, 4th and 1 on the minus 41-yard line, meaning your own side of the ball, minus 41-yard line. And so we get stopped on 3rd and 2, and I tell the coordinator, I said, go for it. And he's like, oh, okay. So he runs everybody out there, and we barely get to play off, and we run, smash mouth football, and they just smash mouth us. So next play, they hand the ball off in its inside zone, and it splits and goes 40 yards for a touchdown. My first defensive play as a head coach splits for a touchdown. So I get on the headset, and I told our defensive coordinator, I said, Marcus, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have made that call. I should have given Wes a chance to call that play earlier. He said, sorry. He said, shoot, you just saved us about 40 yards of total defense. That thing would have gone for 80. That was the best thing you could have done for us, right? So anyway, we smacked a couple balls up in the air. Next thing you know, we're up 14-13 with the team that's lost 45 of 46 games on the road playing Neil Brown and Troy. And I vividly remember, Coach Clark's heard this story a million times, but it always brings me back, right? I'm walking out on the sidelines, and I'm 30 years old, and I think, this is not that hard, right? I'll probably be here 6 more months, probably take the Alabama job next, then it's the Packers. I don't know. Maybe just coach the Pro Bowl team. I don't know what's next after this. They end up beating us 69-14, and I lost my first 13 games as a head coach, right? And I realized how hard it really was. We're playing Morehead State. It's the only time I've ever questioned, am I good enough? We're playing Morehead State. I'm 0-13 as a head coach. And we had some goalposts that looked like V's. And I told the guys, I'm not putting new goalposts up until we actually win a game. So, the only way we got fans to truly come was, we're going to tear down the goalposts when we win a game. So, we're playing Morehead State. We have the nation's longest losing streak, okay? And I told the fans and I told our team, we're going to win this game, and we're going to tear down the goalpost, and we're going to have more fun winning than anybody in the history of college football. So we come out, and we are waxing them. We beat them 69-7, 69-10, somewhere around in there. We tear the goalpost down. I'm crying. The mayor of Montgomery County comes and grabs me off of ESPN the Ocho, not that anybody was watching besides a Healy, but grabs me off of it, and he makes me take a shot at Jim Beam on the side, and I'm like, what is this? My wife's crying. Eli, our 10-year-old now, all he wanted to do was dump Gatorade on my head. He'd seen it on the TV, so he grabs a glass of Gatorade and dumps it on my head. And I go in the locker room, and I got cigars for all the players, and we're smoking cigars in the locker room. We just beat a non-scholarship team to go 1-13 as a head coach, and you would have thought we won the Super Bowl, right? We ended up winning 8 out of the next 9 games, 8 out of the next 10. We lost to Central Florida in 2017 when they went undefeated, and we lost to Jacksonville State, who was number 1 in the country at that point in time. But really started to kind of flip a program. And now, obviously, what Austin Peay is, and a perennial top 15, 20 team in the country, what they've invested, how that community has wrapped themselves around it, it is amazing. It really is. And then was able to go take the job at Charlotte. We had an incredible experience there. Love that place, love those people. And you ride these emotional highs and lows in this profession. My first year at Charlotte, there were some opportunities at some, Power 5 places that were life-changing kind of money. And my wife and I decided we'd been one place for 1 year and we weren't willing to move. And I don't regret it by any stretch of the imagination. But what I did understand, you beat Duke, you're on game day, you have all these highs. I'll tell you a funny story. We beat Duke, okay? And I'd gone to the Masters with a guy who used to be the AD at TCU, and he used to be the president of the Panthers. And he was in charge of bringing game day to Charlotte because Georgia and Clemson were playing. And we were playing on a Friday night against Duke, first ever home Power 5 game. And he said, Will, if you beat Duke, I'll get you on game day. We're riding back from the Masters. And I said, what are you talking about? It's not if we beat Duke. I said, prepare to get me on college game day. So anyway, we beat Duke. And the next day, I go on college game day. It's me and Matt Rule. And I'm walking up to this turf that I watch every Saturday morning on college game day with a headpiece in. And it's Gene, what's his name? What's the guy's name that always does the Wojciechowski? I can't pronounce his last name. But I'm really, again, go back to a moment of where you're like, okay, I think I've made it, right? This is really cool. We're in our home city. Everybody, we're on game day. They're showing highlights. And so I get up there, and Kirk Herbstreit's like, Matty Ice, he's talking to Matt Rule. He's like, Matty Ice, it's great to see you. And he's like, and Coach Neely, great win last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? You haven't made it. Nobody knows who you are. Ground yourself quickly. You know what I mean? There's always one of those moments in this profession where you think you've made it, and it finds a way to humble you. Incredible experiences there. I get fired in October. We've just built a new house. Our kids had just moved, and we actually went a period of about 30 months where they lived in 6 different houses. And they were in 5 different schools, I think. About almost a full year out of 2 years I spent away from them, trying to see them every other weekend, and it was hard. It was brutal, and it made me get to a point where you question, is this what's best for your family? And then we were blessed in December to have an opportunity to be able to come here. I first looked for where's the best place to raise my family. I second looked for a place that I thought you could win and exceed expectations. And third to me was like, what's your ability to sustain success there? And I think we've found all of those things. I think that what I've seen about our place, it's the first job that I've taken where I feel like you should win more than you should lose. I think that there's still a misconception of how powerful this place can be. I think that, one of the things I talked to our boosters about the other day was what I need is the $10,000 donor that's capable of giving 40 to give 40, right? And that's kind of where we are, is that we got to make it cool to give and to support ETSU football. I think from what I've seen at Austin Peay and what I've seen at Charlotte, you have a tremendous opportunity to represent your university the right way. We're going to go, September the 6th to Knoxville and play, on the SEC network, and have a tremendous opportunity to raise awareness about what type of university we have, with excellent young men and really, really good coaches. And so our job's bigger than just a football job. It's, I've gotten to the point now in my profession where I've learned so much from my mistakes that I told our team after practice today, my job's not to be liked, it's to be respected. And sometimes you may not respect me until you leave me, but that's what I want. I want 10 years from now you say, well, I may have been mad at you at practice, but you held me accountable for being my best. I may have not understood why you wanted me to go shake everybody's hand, but now I understand, and I'm so confident in every social setting that I'm in. I may not understand what you were talking about with how you do one thing's how you do everything, but now I'm a dad, and I realize how important those type of habits and instincts are. And so to me, that's what it's about. I love this profession. It's not my identity. Those 2 boys, my 10 and 6-year-old and my wife, that's why I do what I do. The life that he gets to live, those big boys as they pray for every night, that are all from different areas, may not look like them, talk like them, may not, they may not have the same hobbies or whatever it is. Those guys, they get to grow up in a different world and appreciate the differences in other people. And we've got a tremendous group of young men that make it a lot of fun for me to bring them to practice every day. And they sit in meetings, and every once in a while they go tell my wife that I said a cuss word in the locker room, but I'm okay with that, But that to me is what it's about. I know y'all didn't sit here. I think we got a really good football team, like a really good football team. Obviously talent does not necessarily always equate to wins. That's what we're in the middle of right now. How disciplined are we? How much better can we get from August until December and January? How do we stick together? How tough and tight are we as a football team? All those different types of things. You got to play well each and every Saturday, and you're counting on 18 to 23-year-olds to do that, right? But I do think if you ask me when we started this thing, I wanted to put the best roster that I could possibly put together by August. I think we've done that. Obviously, we're very fortunate with 2 different quarterbacks. Cade McNamara started the national semifinal game when he was at Michigan against Georgia. He is extremely talented. I think has a chance to be one of the best players in the conference. I think has a chance to extend his career. And then we were also fortunate to get Jacoby Criswell, who started 8 games last year at North Carolina, who I think the exact same thing about. And I sit there and watch him in practice each day, and I'm like, you better enjoy this, because I don't know that we're always going to have this, but I'm really, really proud of the competitive character and the relationship that those 2 young men have built with one another and what they're doing for our football team. To me, in this game, if you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And I think we're very fortunate that we have 2 that I've never been around before. I think there's probably all but 30 teams in the country that would love to have our quarterback room right now. And to me, that's where it starts. So our roster is really good. I think our coaches are phenomenal. They've been a blessing to be around, and we look forward to a big year. We open up home August the 30th against Murray, which will be an unbelievable environment, and I'm looking forward to my first home game at ETSU. We'll go to Tennessee. We go to West Georgia. We have home against Elon, and then we play the conference schedule, which every week in the Southern Conference, I've lived at Chattanooga, is a battle. No matter how good or how bad the other team is, you find a way that every matchup is a fourth quarter war. So excited about what we're building. And I know somebody mentioned NIL. Right? I think you mentioned about what Pete was doing. Here's my vision, okay? And I think it's important for all of you to understand. My vision is we did not get this roster together this year based off of promising guys money. In my opinion, having been at Charlotte, having been at UCF, Georgia State, some of these spots, if you're making a decision solely based on money, then that's the wrong reason to pick this place, okay? Here's what I like to do is I like to make sure when we get them here, okay, all right, let's say that they need a little bit more money for a meal plan, or you're going to live off campus and we'd like to make sure you can live where you want to live. Those are ways I'd love to be able to help them, right? But I'm still not fighting because we're all fighting the battle together. I'm not fighting against anybody at ETSU, but what I'm doing is we are building an experience that is second to none, meaning how they travel, what they eat, what they wear, nutritionally, how are they developing, the people that are around them, building a staff. Like experience is how we're going to retain, not money. I'll give you a great example. I got a call from a guy last night that took $140,000 from a Power 4 school, and that was the only reason why he picked them over us. And he called me last night and said, "Can I transfer?" Right? The deal was he's already started camp there, so he can't. Right? But we have enough guys. There's enough people in this mixing bowl of college athletics right now that have had a bad experience from a political side that they just want to play football. They want to be around good people. They want to develop. They want to be in a city that supports them and it means something. And that's what we've filled a roster with. So each year you're going to have half a new roster. You know, the days of you've been able to wear one number and follow a guy from freshman to senior year are not as much as they used to be, but there's still so much good about this game. If you come to practice and you get a chance to meet our student athletes, I think your perception will be changed a little bit. Football in general and college athletics are getting a bad rap. And I think our players, when you're around them, have the potential to be able to change that perception that some people have. So very proud of them, excited about what the season's going to bring. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, it's the first time that I've ever hired an offensive coordinator that is more of the tempo stuff. Cam Aiken, our offensive coordinator, he was at Clemson for 11 years with Dabo and with Chad Morris and Jeff Scott and Tony Elliott and those guys. He then left with Jeff and went to USF as the running backs coach, and then he was at Ole Miss the last 2 years with Lane. And so he's got a brilliant mind. He was offered another $250,000 to go take a group of five, really, really good group of five OC job. But he wanted to make sure his first job was like Dabo helped us. I mean, just from a culture perspective, how he's the opportunities, truly calling it, not having somebody look over his shoulder. So we are using a lot more tempo. What I've learned from Gus Malzahn about tempo is a lot of what we're doing is we're going to use tempo to run the football. I don't believe in these massive wide splits where the receiver just stands still and doesn't block anybody. Like there's a physicality to how we play that's going to help our defense as we go against each other in fall camp and spring ball. But there's also the ability to catch people by surprise and get athletes in space that we'll use from a tempo perspective. I enjoy running the quarterback. Cade McNamara, we wouldn't run as much as we would Jacoby Criswell. Jacoby was 253 pounds in the spring. Now he's down to 230 pounds. Cade is much more of a kind of spread it out and use your quick game stuff instead of your quarterback run. But I believe in running the quarterback. I believe in running the football. But I also believe that we have a chance to spread some people out and be explosive in the pass game. So at this level, in my opinion, it's like, who do you have at quarterback? Right? If I got a runner and he's a dual threat guy, then I'll run triple option and we'll not under center. But that's basically what it is you're running triple option, even though it may be a bubble and throwing the ball out on the perimeter instead of a pitch back. It's triple option RPO football. We don't have that right now, so we will spread the field and use tempo and then be explosive in the run in the pass game as well. So tempo is more than what I've done, and I think it's been really important for me to find a balance of our tempo not hurting our defense from a preparation perspective, right? We've got to do a lot of other drills in practice to make sure that we're developing that physicality in the trenches, because to me, that's where you win the games. Right now, it's kind of been more the first four. I've watched the guys in our conference, but truly haven't broken them down. To me, what we've done right now is we've started with the first four non-conference opponents, and then we use a little bit of walkthrough time at night to just, if there's something unique that they're doing that we need to prepare for, so that game week, it's not the first time we've seen it. We've done some of that. But I used to hear coaches talk about going 1-0 every week. Like, I'd hear James Franklin talk about it, your boy, and I'd be like, okay, that sounds great. That's cool. I really believe in that more than I've ever believed in it before. Is like, I haven't spent near as much time as I need to on Murray State. But I've spent a lot more time worried about how does our football team prepare, and what does today feel like, and what are our practices, and what's our player evaluation. And I'll get to that point where Murray State becomes the most important thing, but it's just I'm not quite there yet.